People in Africa ultimately would be better off without the UN and its agencies substituting government, substituting programs, and distorting the reality on the ground. You cannot be an investigator, a prosecutor, a judge, and a police at the same time. It's not someone creature coming from outside and telling us something that he has in his mind and we follow. This relationship, the United States has preferred to take us as a scapegoat, and we're saying this attitude will have to change. The trendy attitude will have to change, and then definitely the United States can expect any party to work towards developing a working relationship with its authorities.
You're saying Eritrea is going to wait 3 or 4 decades before it holds elections?
Maybe more, who knows?
Well, aren't elections a central element of a democracy? And if you don't have elections, then you don't have a democracy.
If you're telling me that democracy and the elections we have witnessed the last 5 or 10 years promoted by the United States as a separate agenda to serve its interests in a number of regions of this world, I can tell you this is not democracy for us. If you mean democracy is polarizing society vertically, that's not democracy for us. And these days it becomes very fashionable for people to talk about democracy when society is divided and polarized along ethnic, religious lines, and we are not party to that kind of democracy.
The one thing is for sure, the mainstream media right around the world hate your country, hate everything to do with it. Why do you think they hate Eritrea so much?
It's part of their psyche. They talk about tolerance, they talk about freedoms, they talk about independence, they talk about sovereignty, they talk about security, interests and values. If anyone raises a voice against their real nature in spite of the pretensions, then you are an enemy.
Well, but you did close down the free press, and just to get to some specifics, there were 2 Eritreans who worked for the US Embassy in Asmara who were imprisoned.
Freedom of press, if you mean the financing and managing of media, the CNN, BBC or even Jazeera International by special interest groups, is freedom of press. I can tell you we're not party to that kind of freedom of press.
All right.
First of all, what was your immediate reaction to those that have been supported by the United States leaving power recently?
It's Machiavellian because it's so contradictory that...
But they supported Mubarak in Egypt, if we take Egypt.
Yes, that's where it comes. When it suits their interests, they will support anyone.
Well, relations between the United States and Eritrea are very poor at the moment, and a few days ago you called for Washington to, and I'm going to be quoting here, change its frame of thinking and end acts of adventurism. What exactly do you want Washington to do?
Well, it's not only Eritrea, it's not only the Horn of Africa. This has become trendy. It's false assumptions, it's weapons of mass destruction, it's accusations of supporting or sponsoring terror. For me, it's a continuation of one ideology. It's an ideology of slavery. It's an ideology of colonialism. It's an ideology of neocolonialism. It's an ideology, at least in the last 30 years, we can talk about hegemony, controlling. Who doesn't bow to these ideologies, you will be punished if you are not in line with their way of thinking. It's either sanctions, it's either demonizing this or that guy, and using all sorts of tools, including the World Bank, IMF, and other tools they use to pressure everybody to bow to this ideology. And people are fed up of this behavior, this culture of domination, hegemony. Everybody is fed up of it.